Hook sometimes, the hardest truth to face is that the only thing standing between where you are now and where you want to be is you. It's not luck. It's not timing. It's not even talent. It's the decision to step up in this very moment and claim the life you know you're capable of living. The Stoics understood this deeply. They knew that external circumstances are rarely in our control, but how we choose to respond to them always is. The question is not when will life be easier, but when will you decide to rise? That decision changes everything. Introduction. The Stoics, Marcus Aurelius, Epictetus, Seneca, were not removed from life's struggles. They lived in the middle of wars, political chaos, exile, and personal hardship. Yet instead of being crushed by these trials, they discovered a philosophy that made them stronger, calmer, and more resilient. They believed that greatness wasn't about waiting for the perfect moment to arrive, but about acting with virtue and discipline in the face of imperfection. Their wisdom still speaks to us today because the human condition hasn't changed. We still wrestle with doubt, distraction, fear, and failure. And that's why in today's video on Sculpted Grace, we're going to explore 12 powerful Stoic lessons that can transform how you see yourself and the world. These aren't abstract ideas. They are practical mindsets that you can begin applying immediately. Whether you're pursuing personal growth, overcoming challenges, or simply looking for more peace in your daily life, the Stoics left behind a map for living with strength and serenity. And it begins with one simple but radical shift. Deciding right here and now to act as if you already have what it takes. Because you do. Lesson 1. The power of deciding to be the best. The moment you decide to live up to your full potential is the moment everything begins to change. Most people spend their lives waiting for the perfect timing, the perfect opportunity, or for someone else to give them permission to act. But the Stoics remind us that life doesn't wait. Every second we hesitate is a second lost. Epictetus famously said, "It's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters." That means your greatness doesn't start with circumstances aligning in your favor. It starts with a decision. The decision to hold yourself to the highest standard and show up as the best version of you, regardless of what's happening around you. This doesn't mean pretending you'll never make mistakes or that you're already perfect. The Stoics never preached perfection. What they taught was growth, the practice of striving for excellence every single day. Marcus Aurelius, even as one of the most powerful men in history, wrote in his journal not to boast, but to remind himself to act with virtue in every choice, no matter how small. When you choose to be the best, you aren't claiming superiority over others. You're making a commitment to yourself that you will treat obstacles as opportunities, that you will learn from failures, and that you will rise each day with more purpose than the last. The decision is the spark. Once you light it, your life begins to transform. Lesson 2. Why? Acting like you're the best matters. When we say act as if you're the best, it's easy to misunderstand. This isn't about arrogance or believing you're better than everyone else. The Stoics would never encourage pride or ego. Instead, it's about holding yourself to the highest possible standard, regardless of external recognition. Imagine how a world-class athlete prepares before a competition. Their confidence isn't loud or boastful. It's calm, steady, and grounded in years of discipline. This is the kind of energy the Stoics want us to bring into our daily lives. When you carry yourself as if you are already capable, competent, and prepared, you stop asking permission from the world. You start showing up with presence and clarity. Marcus Aurelius embodied this principle as emperor. Despite ruling Rome, he constantly reminded himself that his role was not to dominate, but to serve, to act with virtue, humility, and discipline. His greatness didn't come from the crown he wore, but from the standard he set for himself internally. When you choose to act as if you are the best, you are not pretending or playing a role. You are stepping into a mindset that shapes your actions. And actions, repeated consistently, shape your reality. People around you notice this shift. You don't need to announce it. Your confidence speaks for itself. Acting like the best is not about perfection. It's about living as if excellence is already within you and proving it with every choice you make. Lesson 3. What if I'm not the best? This is the question that stops most people. But what if I'm not the best? What if I'm nowhere close? The Stoics would remind us that doesn't matter. You don't need to be the best right now to act like it. Acting as if is not about delusion. It's about practice. If you wait until you feel ready, you'll be waiting forever. But if you carry yourself with the discipline, humility, and confidence of the best version of you, something remarkable begins to happen. You grow into that person. This is not wishful thinking. It's a psychological reality. Your beliefs can shape your actions, and your actions shape your future. Think of a job interview. Walk in doubting yourself, convinced you're not good enough, and your nervousness will show. But walk in with the composure of someone who knows their worth, who speaks clearly and confidently about their skills, and you completely change the energy of the room. Even if you don't get the job, you've practiced being that confident, capable person. And that practice compounds. The Stoics taught that identity is shaped by habits. Epictetus often reminded his students that the way they carry themselves is entirely within their control. You may not be the best yet, but by acting as if you are, you're putting yourself on the path to becoming it. The point isn't perfection. The point is progress, one disciplined choice at a time. Lesson 4. Continuous growth. The Stoics understood that no matter how far you've come, you are never finished. Life itself is a process of becoming, and the moment you stop growing, you start declining. Seneca captured this perfectly when he wrote, "As long as you live, keep learning how to live." This is the heart of continuous growth. Acting as if you're the best does not mean you've reached perfection. On the contrary, it means you've committed to constant refinement in your habits, your thinking, your discipline, and your character. Just as an athlete never stops training or a musician never stops practicing, the Stoic path is about lifelong mastery, not quick victories. Even Marcus Aurelius, Emperor of Rome, spent his mornings journaling reminders to stay humble, disciplined, and open to improvement. If a man with ultimate power still saw himself as a student of life, then so should we. Continuous growth means asking yourself daily, what can I learn today? How can I show up better than yesterday? It means bringing humility to your strengths and courage to your weaknesses. The mindset of acting as if becomes powerful here because when you imagine yourself as the best, you naturally begin to raise your standards. In relationships, you ask how the best partner would listen or love. In health, you ask how the best version of you would eat, train, and rest. In work, you ask how the best leader or creator would act. growth becomes the standard, not for others, but for yourself. Lesson 5. Practice makes reality. At first, acting as if you're the best may feel strange, like you're pretending or putting on a mask. But here's the truth. What you practice consistently becomes who you are. The Stoics taught this long before modern psychology echoed it. Seneca put it plainly, we become what we repeatedly do. Excellence, then, is not an act, but a habit. If you practice self-control, you become self-controlled. If you practice gratitude, you become more grateful. If you practice resilience, you become resilient. The transformation doesn't happen all at once, but in small daily actions repeated over time. Think of it like training a muscle. The first time you lift weights, it feels unnatural, even painful. But with each repetition, your body adapts. Confidence, discipline, and strength of character work the same way. At first, standing tall, speaking clearly, or keeping your cool under pressure might feel forced. But as you practice, these traits begin to feel natural. Over time, what was once an act becomes a habit, and habits form character. Epictetus often reminded his students that they couldn't control the outside world, but they could control their practice of virtue. By showing up every day and acting like the best version of yourself, you train your mind and your character to embody it, until it's no longer an act, but your reality. Lesson 6. Facing weakness. To act as if you're the best doesn't mean ignoring your flaws. In fact, the Stoics insisted on radical self-honesty. Marcus Aurelius wrote openly about his impatience, his anger, and his tendency to complain, not to shame himself, but to keep himself accountable. True strength is not in denying your weaknesses, but in confronting them head-on. The best athletes don't pretend they don't have weaknesses. They train harder in those areas. The best leaders don't act flawless. They surround themselves with people who help balance their blind spots. The same principle applies to your own growth. Facing your weaknesses is how you build resilience and depth. Seneca believed that setbacks and flaws are some of our greatest teachers because they show us exactly where we need to grow. Think about it. Ignoring your weaknesses doesn't make them disappear. They often become bigger, more disruptive, and harder to manage. But when you confront them with courage and discipline, you turn them into opportunities for growth. For example, if you know you struggle with procrastination, the Stoic approach isn't to pretend it's not a problem. It's to face it directly, to train discipline by setting clear tasks and sticking to them. Acting like the best doesn't mean acting perfect. It means being humble enough to acknowledge your flaws and strong enough to work on them. This balance of confidence and humility is exactly what makes growth possible. Lesson 7. Elevate those around you. The Stoics taught that we are not isolated individuals, but deeply connected parts of a greater whole. They called this sympatheia, the idea that everything in the universe is interwoven. When you act as if you're the best, it's not just about your own growth. It's about lifting the people around you. Think about the energy of someone who carries themselves with calm confidence, discipline, and clarity. Without saying a word, their presence inspires others to rise to a higher standard. By living well, you create a ripple effect that influences your family, friends, colleagues, and even strangers who cross your path. Marcus Aurelius reminded himself often that his role was not only to live with virtue for his own sake, but to contribute to the good of the community. He understood that personal excellence radiates outward. When you choose to act like the best version of yourself, you become an example others can follow. In your workplace, it may inspire coworkers to act with integrity. In your family, it may encourage patience, kindness, or resilience. Acting like the best isn't selfish. It's service. You become a living demonstration of what's possible. And in doing so, you elevate the standards of everyone around you. Lesson 8. How to handle failure. Failure is something none of us can escape, and the Stoics understood this deeply. But where many people see failure as the end of the road, the Stoics saw it as an essential part of the journey. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "The impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way." This means that the very obstacles that seem to block your path can become the path itself, if you're willing to learn from them. Acting as if you're the best doesn't mean believing you'll never fail. It means approaching failure with resilience, knowing each setback is training for your growth. When failure comes, as it always does, the Stoic mindset says, don't waste time in self-pity or blame. Instead, ask, what can I learn from this? How can this help me grow stronger? Epictetus taught that the only true failure is failing to use adversity as a chance to improve. Imagine a project at work that doesn't go as planned. Instead of shrinking back in embarrassment, the Stoic way is to analyze what went wrong, adapt, and move forward, wiser than before. The best people in any field aren't those who never fail. They're those who rise stronger after each fall. By reframing failure as feedback, you transform obstacles into stepping stones toward your highest potential. Lesson 9. Daily practice builds character. One of the most important Stoic lessons is that greatness is not built in occasional bursts of effort, but in consistent, daily practice. Marcus Aurelius urged himself each morning to rise with purpose and discipline, writing, "When you arise in the morning, think of what a precious privilege it is to be alive, to breathe, to think, to enjoy, to love." Acting as if you're the best isn't something you do once when you feel motivated. It's something you do daily, even on the days you feel tired or uninspired. Consistency is what builds character. The Stoics believed that excellence is not a single act, but a habit formed through countless small choices. Each day you choose discipline over laziness, patience over irritation, gratitude over complaint. You are chiseling away at the weaker parts of yourself and sculpting the stronger self within. Think of it as training your soul like a craftsman works on marble, slow, steady, deliberate. Over time, these daily practices shape you into someone unshakable. The secret is not waiting for the perfect moment to act. It's showing up every day as if you already are the best version of yourself. Eventually, that practice becomes your reality. Lesson 10. Living with humility. Acting as if you're the best can easily be mistaken for arrogance. But the Stoics were clear. True greatness is always grounded in humility. Marcus Aurelius, despite being emperor of Rome, constantly reminded himself that he was just a man, subject to the same weaknesses, sickness, and mortality as everyone else. Humility isn't about shrinking or denying your strengths. It's about acknowledging that you're still learning, that your victories don't make you infallible, and that life can humble you at any moment. This balance keeps your confidence rooted in reality, not ego. Humility also frees you to keep improving. If you think you already know everything, you stop growing. But when you approach life as a student, no matter how skilled you are, you remain open to learning. Seneca said, "A wise man is never too busy to learn." To act like the best means to embody this student mindset daily. In practice, humility might look like listening more than you speak, admitting when you're wrong, or asking for guidance instead of pretending to know it all. It's not weakness, it's wisdom. True strength lies in the ability to grow without letting pride stand in your way. Lesson 11. Serving a greater purpose. The Stoics believed that a meaningful life is one lived in service of something larger than yourself. Epictetus taught that we are threads in the vast fabric of existence, each connected to the whole. To act as if you're the best means aligning your actions with a purpose that goes beyond personal gain. It means asking yourself not just, what do I want today, but how can I contribute? How can I make this world, or even just one person's life, a little better? This shift from self-centered ambition to purposeful service transforms not only your outlook, but also the impact you leave behind. Think about someone you admire, a leader, a teacher, a mentor. Chances are what makes them great isn't just their personal success, but how they've used their strengths to uplift others. The Stoics lived by this principle. Marcus Aurelius saw his role as emperor not as a privilege, but as a responsibility to serve the Roman people. In your own life, this might mean mentoring a colleague, showing kindness to a stranger, or raising your family with patience and wisdom. When you tie your growth to a greater purpose, you anchor yourself in meaning, and every action you take becomes part of something larger than yourself. Lesson 12. Choosing inner peace. At the heart of Stoicism lies the pursuit of inner peace. The Stoics understood that the world is chaotic, full of events beyond our control, but within us lies a sanctuary no one can disturb, unless we let them. Acting as if you're the best ultimately leads here, to the ability to remain calm, centered, and unshaken no matter what storms rage outside. Epictetus said, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." This lesson is about reclaiming that power daily. Inner peace doesn't mean apathy or passivity. It means choosing not to let anger, fear, or envy control you. Imagine someone cuts you off in traffic. Most people would react with rage, but the Stoic way is to breathe. Remind yourself that you can't control their actions and return to calm. This isn't weakness, it's mastery. By choosing peace, you conserve your energy for what truly matters: your growth, your relationships, your purpose. Over time, this practice makes you unshakable. You stop being tossed around by every difficulty and instead become steady, grounded, and free. That is the true mark of someone who acts as if they are the best. Conclusion: the sculpted grace of a Stoic life. So here we are, 12 timeless lessons that, when practiced, can reshape the way you live. They promised a philosophy that would make you stronger than your challenges. By deciding to be the best, acting with discipline, facing weakness, handling failure, practicing daily habits, serving others, and choosing peace, you're not pretending to be something you're not. Think of your life as a work of art. Each day, with every choice, you're chiseling away at fear, doubt, and weakness, and revealing strength, virtue, and resilience. The Stoics remind us that greatness isn't created in a single moment. It's created in the countless decisions you make every day to show up as your highest self. Start now. Start small, but start because the life you want is already waiting within you. Stay strong, stay grounded, and I'll see you in the next one.